Los Angeles Lakers are trying to gain Kyrie Irving in a trade, and they also want to continue to add to their team beyond Kyrie Irving. Whether they land Kyrie Irving or not, the Lakers are looking at multiple possibilities. There's even reports that the Lakers are trying to get Kyrie Irving and Buddy Hield, but if they're not able to get Kyrie Irving, then they would try to go get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. So they definitely are trying to work out multiple deals. Kyrie Irving is obviously the grand prize, right? That's the player the Lakers really want. They want to create this big three with Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's an instant title contender, no questions asked. As long as they are all healthy, they're the best team in the West as it currently stands, and they very likely could be the best team in the entire NBA. Everyone's healthy. It's a perfect match, perfect fit. You got the outside shooting, you got the inside game, you got LeBron James who could do everything. Plus, it just takes so much pressure off LeBron, because now he doesn't have to score 30 a night for the Lakers to win. He can just go out there. He's going to get his 20 a game just because he's that skilled, that smart, that just creative. And then he can kind of let Kyrie and Anthony Davis be the 1 and 2 options, that 1-2 punch. And LeBron sort of reverts to the Magic Johnson role in many ways, just distributing and getting them their buckets, getting them their points. But beyond this, again, the Miles Turner and Buddy Hield trade is one that the Lakers have seem to come up time and time again, right? I mean, for the last month or so, if not longer, this trade just keeps coming up. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Usually, if there's nothing to this, if there's no legs to it, then usually it dies down and it goes away. But no, it keeps reporting that there's legs to this. And it makes sense. The Pacers, they are kind of just waiting on what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. Not that the Pacers are going to get Kevin Durant, but the Pacers want DeAndre Ayton. The Nets don't want, nor can they take DeAndre Ayton. So Nets are hoping that, we'll get Miles Turner. The Indiana Pacers, they would be great because they'd get DeAndre Ayton to pair with Halliburton, and it's kind of a win-win for everybody. But the Pacers are starting to get impatient, and reports are that they want to offer a sign sheet for DeAndre Ayton. If that's the case, then that all but ruins a lot of things. It doesn't completely take the Suns out of the Durant conversation, but it makes things very difficult for the Phoenix Suns, because they would have to match DeAndre Ayton or let him go. And on top of that, even if they let him go, now it's just like you don't have that extra young all-star type piece to use in a trade for leverage. If you do re-sign him, you can't trade him till January. So if the Pacers do sign Ayton, well then now Miles Turner is expendable. And so he would kind of be perfect for the Lakers. Miles Turner has expressed that he'd be interested in that. So it's a trade that would be a win-win for everybody. Pacers, they go and they get salary relief, some draft picks for the future. They're a rebuilding team, stuff like that. Lakers get Miles Turner, who can play multiple positions. He's that defender, outside shooter, everything like that. But beyond that, he's also a guy that is an expiring contract. So you can re-sign him, you can kind of work things out, maybe sign Kyrie next season, all of that. So this trade makes a lot of sense. But there's another trade that has emerged that could be really beneficial for the Lakers. And it's something that was talked about in the past. And that trade is for Cam Reddish. Now, Cam Reddish would be an awesome fit for the Lakers. It likely wouldn't take much to get Cam Reddish, right? You'd imagine something along the lines of like a THT, maybe like a second round or like a pick swap, something like that. Because the Knicks acquired Cam Reddish, but as soon as they acquired him, they did not want him. So, especially Thibodeau. Thibodeau wanted nothing to do with Cam Reddish, and it was apparent. And now it's being reported that he is at least being shopped around, which I don't understand it. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's got a 6'8" height, 7'1" wingspan. He can play multiple positions. He can shoot the ball. He's a perfect prototype in today's NBA. Yes, he's a little raw, but he's 22 years old. I mean, he's as young as some of the players drafted in this draft. And so to go and get a guy like Cam Reddish, especially if the Knicks are essentially just trying to give him away and get rid of him, it would be silly not to leap at that opportunity. He could be a guy that could come in, relieve Anthony Davis. He's a guy that could play the small forward. He can play power forward. He's got the wingspan to be great. He's athletic. He can shoot. He can score. He does everything you need. And he's a guy that can play and contribute now, but he also has so much more potential for the future. He just needs to be in the right situation and get the right development and growth. I really think he could be a guy that could be, I don't think he'll be a star or anything like that, but I could see him being a very serviceable rotation guy in this league, a starter in this league. I don't think he's a guy that is going to be your eighth man on the bench. I think he could develop into a guy that could be your third or fourth option on a team, and it's justifiable. I could see him being, worst case scenario, a Harrison Barnes type player, and people love Harrison Barnes. Now, again, this is a trade that was discussed last year between the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Raptors to discuss a three-team deal. Lakers would have gotten Cam Reddish in this deal. THT would have been going out, some draft pick stuff. This deal was agreed upon. This deal was done. They went up to the trade deadline, and then the moment leading up to it, the Knicks decided to flip the switch and say, oh, we want a first-round draft pick. And everyone was like, the deal's done. Like, what do you mean? Like, I thought we were submitting it. Like, what happened? And the Knicks completely just butchered the deal, and it fell through. And so that's why Cam Reddish isn't already a Laker. He would have already been a Laker, and it would have been a deal. So this deal could be explored once again. The Raptors wanted THT in the deal, stuff like that. So the Knicks were kind of the facilitator. They were going to get some assets, some pieces, some other things. So maybe they could kind of retouch on the deal and kind of configure it in a way to where, the Lakers would get Cam Reddish and give out THT. Plus, Cam Reddish at this point would be a much better fit than THT. I think THT still has all the potential in the world. I know Laker fans aren't too high on him, but a lot of people are forgetting multiple things when it comes to THT. One, his age. He's still super young. Again, a guy that is the age of some of the people drafted this year. He broke his shooting hand going into the season. So, of course, that's going to affect your game. That's going to affect the way you handle the ball, the way you shoot the ball, everything. So this year, he could really sort of play himself into that kind of player that we thought. We've seen flashes from him. We've seen some quality moments from him. He's great defensively. He has that wingspan, everything. So he is a quality guy, and he's a team that the Toronto Raptors seem really invested in trying to acquire. They've tried to acquire him on 2 separate occasions, and so maybe you could re-explore that Raptors-Knicks deal and maybe work something out. Or maybe you could even, and if let's say Kyrie falls off the table, maybe you can figure out a way to get Cam Reddish and maybe like a Gary Trent, because personally, I would rather have Gary Trent over Buddy Hield because at least Gary Trent offers you more, and that was a deal that was explored by the Lakers and the Raptors in the past, THT and, whatever little other pieces for Gary Trent. So let's say you can't trade for Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie Irving is the trade you get done. But let's say for whatever reason it falls through, anything like that, if you could, swap and go get Cam Reddish for like a first or something, say the 2027 first or 2029 first, and then you could trade THT in your in the other first round and maybe a second round for Gary Trent Jr. I think you do that all day. You get your shooter and defender, and you don't lose anything. You got your starting small forward, you got your starting shooting guard, and then there's ways that they could. I mean, you could even go and use Westbrook and still do the deal and try to configure it, in a way. Maybe you do a 3 or 4 team deal. I mean, there's options out there that the Lakers have, and the Lakers are definitely exploring those options. And it's good to see. At least the Lakers aren't standing pat. At least the Lakers, are looking for opportunities outside of just Kyrie, but also opportunities with Kyrie. Because even if you get Kyrie, you could still go get Cam Reddish. And so you could still do that. You could theoretically, depending on what they give up for Kyrie Irving, you could get Kyrie Irving, still get Cam Reddish, and maybe trade for Buddy Hield if need be. Depending on what the Pacers' asking price for Buddy Hield is. Because in reality, you probably don't have to give up a first-round pick to the New York Knicks for Cam Reddish. I mean, people know that Cam Reddish doesn't want to be there, that the Knicks don't want him there, that Thibodeau doesn't want him, doesn't want to play him, nothing. So his asking price is probably very low. And based on the reports of the trade from last year, it was basically just a salary dump from the Knicks standpoint. And then the Knicks decided, no, if we're going to dump salary, we want something in return for it. So that's kind of how it worked out. So maybe the Knicks will say, hey, we'll dump it again, and you could do something like, a Winning Gabriel and a Malik Monk or something like that. And, Kendrick Nunn, not Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn. And then, THT goes to the Raptors. I mean, there's ways to go about it. That's my point. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about the Lakers potentially going and getting Cam Reddish? Do you think, yes, do that, get that done. Whether you get Kyrie or not, make that happen. Cam Reddish would be great. Got a guy, size, athleticism, youth, everything you need, right? I mean, that was the whole movement this offseason for the Lakers, going to get young guys that could play multiple positions, that could defend. None of them are really great shooters, but, nonetheless, you still have that youth, you still have that athleticism, you still have guys that can do multiple things, and Cam Reddish just adds to that, and maybe if he's given a quality role, and maybe if he's given an opportunity to where he can kind of shine, he could shine. I mean, he hasn't gotten a fair shake since he came into the league, Atlanta drafted him and wanted to trade him immediately because he didn't really fit what they had, and then they end up trading him to the Knicks, and the Knicks think like, oh yeah, we got a steal, and then find out Tim Thibodeau, doesn't want him, and it's like, what? Like, why did we go and trade for him then? So hopefully the Knicks loss is the Lakers gain. But again, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, follow by the bell notification, stay up to date with all things sports, join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.